What is up, boys and squirrels? My name is MAGiK'S, and right now you guys are watching MAGiK's Workshop, episode 7, lucky number 7. Let's go. We got a couple nice edits for this week, so let's get right into it. Alright, first edit, we got Vatican Inject 1 Year in Vatican by Beast, so it's pretty cool. Check it out. So the first thing I want to comment on was that the intro cinematic, the very first cinematic in the edit, was actually really well done. I like the effects and stuff, except it was kind of inside the wall. So what you guys want to do is just mask this out really easy. It'll take you a few seconds, but it'll make it look really nice. Or just move the entire motion track forward a little bit so that it's not interfering with the wall at all. That would make it look a lot better. Next up, the second cinematic, you have a really nice motion track here. I like the camera angle and stuff. What could make it a bit better is some depth of field. I noticed really clearly right here. You have some particles floating around, maybe some depth of field on that, which is actually really easy to set up with your camera settings. You can literally just turn depth of field on and it's working. You can just mess around with a couple settings there. I could probably do a tutorial on that. It's not too difficult. So yeah, add some depth of field and also add maybe a depth of field matte and have some near and far blur on the actual map. Just some depth of field there would definitely make that cinematic look a lot nicer. Also, what you have there and in the next cinematic are some of the particles are supposed to be behind the text, but somehow they're also in front, if that makes any sense. Like, you can see them even though they're way behind the text. So I would just either take those out if it's going to be like that, because it really does kill it, or just put the text, in front of the particles. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but sometimes when you're using 3D effects like particular stuff, you can't really have particles in front of and behind the text. So if you're gonna have stuff like that, I would just either make it really obvious so there's absolutely no particles interfering with the text, or just take it out completely. So make sure you guys aren't having any issues like that where your particles are behind the text yet you can still see them like they're not masked or anything. Also, the text and intro cinematics needs a little bit better compositing. If you guys don't know what compositing is, that's pretty much making it fit the scene a little bit better and just basically adding levels and some other color effects to make it match the edit and scene very well. That could be improved a little bit, so if I were you, I'd work on that for next edit. So we progress a little bit further into the edit. As you guys can see here, my tip for you guys, do not use CC lens. I would just stay completely away from that effect. That effect, just all in general, was way overused back in the day, so I would just completely stay away from that. It doesn't even look all that great, so it's not like your edits are going to be hurting. Just don't use CC lens, my tip for you. Also, on all your cinematics, your intro cinematics included, you want to use some clean time remapping, just some having it synced a bit nicer, having a snap to each beat. It's going to be kind of hard to explain, but I mentioned this in, I think, an episode or two before. But basically what you want to do is have your time remapped so that it goes really fast right as the beat hits, then it slows down in the middle, then it speeds up and snaps right to the next beat, and it'll basically make your intro cinematics and other cinematics flow really well, a lot better than they are in this at least. So make sure you do that for next edit. And also, the colors are kind of screwed up right here, as you guys can see. If I were you, I would either fix that, just keyframing some levels or something. And I can also tell that lots of these clips have what's it called? Yeah, resample. So either yell at your players to get you clips that don't have resample, or there's like kind of a fix for it. So just add a lot of RSMB onto the clips with resample, and they will look a little bit nicer since the resample won't be as noticeable since there's motion blur. Next thing I want to mention is that the pan crop is too large. Basically, if you guys don't know, pan crop is where it like beats in and out to the beat of the song, like it scale pumps in and out. So I would just make that a little bit less, maybe half of what it is. And you also want to include different sized pumps. Now the next edit is actually a really great example of this. I'll talk about that a little bit later in the commentary. But yeah, just different sized pumps so that on your beats you have really intense beats, and then your other beats that are like in between, you don't want them to be as intense. So just changing it up a little bit will make it flow a lot nicer and look a lot better. Now looking into the CC, in my opinion, there's a bit too much FL glow at the start, but that kind of changed as the edit progressed. Now the CC also did fit the song pretty well, but if I were you, next time I would keep the CC consistent. By the way, CC is just color correction for you new editors out there who don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so I would just keep the color correction consistent, because I don't know if it's just me, but I felt like at the beginning it was kind of pink colors and bright, and then at the end it was more dark and just more red and stuff. So I would just keep that consistent throughout the entire edit, and I think that'd make it flow a lot nicer and look a lot better. Now let's move on to the second edit by Jazzin. It's his Rush 25K RC. Check it out, it's pretty neat.
Now everybody sing that shit. Now everybody sing that shit. Johnny always lock a nigga down, knowing damn well we don't wanna still box like Manny Pacquiao. Little nigga made with a size, ride like Pac in his prime, thug like this now on radar. Till the federal come through on radars, reminiscing when the LA radars. What's in my home? Step back fitted on my uncle's dome. Step back fitted, step back fitted, step back fitted on my uncle's dome. Step back fitted, step back fitted, step back fitted on my uncle's dome. Step back fitted, step back fitted, step back fitted on my uncle's dome. Step back fitted, step back fitted, step back fitted on my uncle's dome. And I don't condone dick riding, I'm addicted to west side. Living in a city where the skinny niggas die and a semi really fly, but it turned me to a lion, trying. And I mean that shit. Game came through, put the city on his back. I was in the city when a nigga had seen that shit. Compton, a nigga gotta scream that shit. Never went commercial, never TV screamed that shit. Came black or scream 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 that shit. Now everybody sing that shit.
So just after watching my first commentary back, I noticed I was talking really fast, so I'm going to try to slow it down a little bit in the second portion just so you guys can learn a little bit more, and I'm not blowing way past you guys, so, you know, sorry about that if I was a little bit too fast. But anyways, on to the actual second edit. The first text was actually really good. I really enjoyed this text with a bit of compositing and some other elements. I think it could be really nice. Okay, I'm actually really gonna try slow down now, I'm sorry. But yeah, like I said, with some compositing and some other elements, I think it could be really good. Only thing I didn't like was it didn't really match the scene very well. Although the placement and everything was really nice. The third cinematic, make sure the text is in frame. Like the text, like half the text you couldn't even see because it was at the top. So make sure it's centered when you're recording cinematics and stuff. And it was also kind of in the wall. So if I were you, I would just bring that forward a little bit so that it's not caught in the wall. So just make sure it's a lot more noticeable that the text isn't actually in the wall, because that really kills cinematics, to be honest. Next thing I want to talk about is you want to snap your cinematics better. This is similar to the first edit where you just want to use time remapping, make it go really quick at the start, then it levels off, then it speeds up again at the end. So I'll show a picture of the graph editor right now. This is basically like the frame number. It'd be like a, I don't even know what you'd call this, because I don't really take parabolas in math yet, so I'm not that far into it yet, but pretty much you just want it to go really quick and then level off and then speed up again. But like I said, you guys can see the graph editor on screen right now of what it should look like. Alright, at this part, the Rush logo you have here looks kind of bland and it gets cut off, like it just kind of disappears at one part. I'm guessing the motion track kind of failed there, so you just took it out. But if I were you, if you're going to add an effect like that, make it really noticeable, act like it's actually supposed to be in the scene, and don't have it cut off, because it'll make it look a lot more nicer. What am I talking about? But yeah, it'll make it look a lot better, and it'll make it actually make sense and stuff in the edit. So moving along a bit more, this particle effect you have here was dope, man. I love this effect. This was so nice. This was probably the best part of the edit in my opinion. Just watching this effect, it was so subtle, but it was just so perfect. Like, it fit this song and everything so well. I might have to nab this effect, to be honest. No, I'm just kidding. Don't worry, guys. If I use anything that you guys use, I'll make it 100% my own. Like, I'll just make it so much more creative. So don't even worry about me copying effects. I'm not like that. But anyways, yeah, like I was saying, this effect was dope. Like, good job on that, man. It was really nice. Moving on a bit farther, you have right here, you have a bunch of black flashes, and man, to be honest, this was just really overdone. So next edit, just make sure it's more consistent throughout the entire montage, because most of it's kind of just like a chill, relaxed type of feel, and then you get to this part and it's just everything's flashing, you can't really see what's going on. It seems more over edited. It just doesn't really match the feel of the edit as well. And in my opinion, just taking out those black flashes, or at least making them a lot less opaque, like say maybe only 20% flashes, just really subtle, would look a lot better in my opinion. At the end here, you have this text, and to be honest, it was kind of bland, and it was also way in the ground. So, like I mentioned earlier throughout this episode, make sure your text is not in the ground or in walls, because that really looks bad. It looks really unprofessional. Make sure it's really clear cut, that it's actually outside of the wall and floating around, or at least on the ground. But even if it's on the ground, you really gotta be careful there, because it's difficult to get a good ground cinematic. It's pretty hard to do. But yeah, I would also maybe make the cinematic a little bit more focused on the text rather than the player, and that would make a bit more sense, look a bit better in my opinion. Next thing I want to talk about was this color correction. Like I mentioned last edit, this color correction wasn't as good. Although it kind of matched the song, in my opinion it was way too bright. The whites were way overblown, which basically means there's too much white, so like particles or parts of the clip that aren't supposed to be white are brightened up, and now there's more white than there should be, if that makes any sense. So just darkening that, making the CC a little bit more subtle and simple, I think would look a lot nicer. Finally, the most important thing I want to tell you about your edits, the pumps were on point, but your screen pumps, or pan crop as I like to call it, needs to be different sizes. Like I mentioned last edit, this is probably the most prevalent feature of your edit that needs improving on. On your main pumps, like on every single like big beat, like boom, 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 you want to have a big pump. And on shots, you want to have the biggest pump because, you know, it's a shot, it needs to be intense, it needs to have a feeling of importance in the edits. But on different beats, like say beats in between those, just little beats that go along with the song, you want a lot smaller pumps, and it'll look a lot nicer if you do something like this, because then it'll just flow really well to the song. It's kind of hard to explain exactly how it all works, but if you guys can kind of get what I'm saying, try that. Just try it out in After Effects. It's not too difficult to do. I could do a tutorial on pan crop if you guys really want to see it, although like I said, it's not too difficult, so it might be kind of bland of a tutorial. But anyways, that has been MAGiK's Workshop episode 7. Hope you guys enjoyed lucky number 7 episode of this. Like I said, if you guys want to submit your edits, make sure to do so in the Google Documents form down below. I might actually have to create a new one pretty soon because I have so many edits, and I feel like I might end up choosing one that the person's like not even subbed to me anymore. So if I created a new one, that person wouldn't be submitting. So say if I created a episode on somebody's edit that's not even subbed to me, they don't even see it. You know, it's kind of a waste in my opinion. And dude, there's actually so many submissions. Like, you guys keep submitting so many, so you know, keep those submissions coming, guys. I love to see them, and I'm also trying to do this in chronological order, so I'm going through each edit as it was submitted. So if you guys just submit now, it might take me a long time to get to you, so don't feel discouraged if I don't use your episode next week, because I still have a lot to go through. I still have like 70 more edits that are just unread. So if you guys do want to see your edits, make sure to put it down in the Google Docs form. Please only do one. But yeah, that's about it for the episode. Hope you guys did enjoy. As always, I want you guys to have yourselves an amazing day. Thanks for watching, and peace out. I'll talk to you guys later.